It is an arraignment. That's not atypical, but obviously in the case of this magnitude, people want to hear him talk, but it's going to be a long, long way, if ever, before that happens. Your thoughts?
It's an interesting little wrinkle that they have in Idaho where they're allowed to take this kind of entering a plea without entering a plea, which is what he did. It's called standing in silence. And essentially, I guess it's a carryover from his Fifth Amendment rights to not even speak at his own arraignment. So the judge entered the plea of not guilty for him. No shocker there. I don't think this changes anything in the slightest bit as far as how the proceedings are going to go from here on. So the only thing that we now have is no longer a preliminary hearing. So we won't have the advantage of hearing some of that evidence in open court. We'll have to wait until the trial itself, what small bits we're able to receive from the prosecutor or defense in this case, which is not going to be much given the gag order that was mentioned there in that statement.
You know, and victims in homicide cases, I can tell you firsthand, many times they get very overwhelmed by the system because at a certain point in time, I heard over and over again, it seems it's more about the defendant's rights than it is my family member or the victims in the case. And the judicial system can move at a glacial pace, but there are certain procedures that have to happen before you can get yourself to trial. So what would you say to those victims? And again, it's very, very difficult trying to advise them that this system is going to be somewhat defense-oriented and there is a process that has to be followed.
Yeah, this was a frustration that I dealt with a lot when I was a prosecutor, that it does seem as though once a case is filed, all of the attention, all of the concerns, all of the media attention turns towards the defendant. Because they're the one that's on trial, and it's about proving their guilt or innocence, and they're the one who's going to spend time behind bars. And it's hard sometimes to keep the focus on the family members and the incredible loss that they have suffered. And so I appreciate those comments that they made. And I think it's incumbent on, the media to make sure to remind folks, as we did here at the beginning of this broadcast, you mentioned all of their names. I think that's important to always continue to remind people that lives have been lost here. This isn't just about proving guilt or innocence, but it's also incumbent upon the prosecutors to make sure that they're involved with every step of the process. I'm sure they were let in on the idea that this was going to go to a grand jury. It sounds like they're still frustrated with that gag order, but I'm sure the prosecutor will do the best that they can to keep them looped into the proceedings.
Well,